I don't know that much about Apple. I mean, all I know is Apple is an absolutely phenomenal company. I mean, to think of where they were 10 or 15 years ago and where they are now, and that's been done by innovation. I mean, and I think Steve Jobs had a whole lot to do with that.
And so Apple is kind of like a farm.
Well, it's a long-term investment, and if you own the best auto dealership in town, the best brand, and you had something good running it, you wouldn't drop by every day and say, you know, how many people have come in today, or, you know, I think interest rates are going up a little, maybe it'll slow down our sales or anything. No, you buy it knowing there's 365 days a year, and you're going to own it for 20 years, so that's 7,300 days, and you know things are going to be different from day to day and year to year. You shouldn't buy it if the day-to-day stuff is important.
Given that Apple is now our largest holding, tell us more about your thinking. What do you think about the regulatory challenges the company faces, for example? Spotify has filed a complaint against Apple in Europe on antitrust grounds. Elizabeth Warren has proposed ending Apple's control over the App Store, which would impact the company's strategy to increase its services businesses. Are these criticisms fair?
Well, again, I will tell you that all of the points you've made, I'm aware of, and I like our Apple holdings very much. I mean, it is our largest holdings. And actually, what hurts in the case of Apple is that the stock has gone up. And we'd much rather have the stock, and I'm not proposing anything be done about it, but we'd much rather have the stock at a lower price so we could buy more stock. And importantly, if Apple, and they authorized another $75 billion the other day, but let's say they're going to spend $100 billion in buying in their stock in the next 3 years. You know, it's very simple. If they buy it at 200, they're going to get 500 million shares. They got 4 billion, 600 million out now, and so they'll end up with 4.1 billion under that circumstance. They're buying it at 150, they'd buy in 667 million shares. And instead of owning what we would own the first case, the divisor would be less than 4 billion, and we'd own a greater percentage of it. So in effect, a major portion of earnings, at least possibly, it's at least been authorized, will be spent in terms of increasing our ownership without us paying out a dime, which I love for a business, a wonderful business. And the recent development, when the stock has moved up substantially, actually hurts Berkshire over time. We still do, in my opinion, we'll do fine, but we're not going to get into we're not going to dissect our expectations about Apple, you know, for people who may be buying it against us tomorrow or something. So we don't give away investment advice on that or nothing. But we have all the things you've mentioned. Obviously, we know about. We know some. We've got a whole bunch of other variables that we crank into it, and we like the fact that it's our largest holding. I don't know that much about Apple. I mean, all I know is Apple is an absolutely phenomenal company. I mean, to think of where they were 10 or 15 years ago and where they are now, and that's been done by innovation. I mean, and I think Steve Jobs had a whole lot to do with that. The chances of being way wrong in IBM are probably less, at least for us, than being way wrong with Google or Apple. But that doesn't mean that the latter two companies aren't going to do, say, far better than IBM. We wouldn't have predicted what would happen with Apple 10 years ago. And I do not get to the level of conviction that would cause me to buy them. But I sure as hell wouldn't short them either. I was wrong at least I felt I was wrong on IBM. Now I may have been wrong when I sold it to, but I certainly was wrong when I bought it. I felt that Apple has an extraordinary consumer franchise. We have 5.3% or something like that now. It's going up in the first quarter because we bought in our shares, which helps our own shareholders expand their interest in Apple indirectly without laying out a penny. And then Apple's repurchased its shares and just announced another repurchase program. So let's say we look at Apple as a business that we own at 5.3%. Now, we've got, it's a marketable security, so it shows up as way greater than any other marketable security we have. But of course, if you look at our railroad, as we mentioned, well, Union Pacific is selling for about $150 billion in the market. We own one that's a little larger than the Union Pacific and making a little less money, but not much less. So it's an extraordinarily Apple. It's got a fantastic manager. Tim Cook was underappreciated for a while. He's one of the best managers in the world. I've seen a lot of managers, and he's got a product that people absolutely love. And there's an installed base of people, and they get satisfaction rates of 99%. And I get the figures from the Furniture Mart as to what's being sold. And if people come in and they want an Android phone, they want an Android phone. If they want Apple, they want an Apple phone. You can't sell them the other one. I mean, the brand and the product is it's an incredible product. It's a huge bargain to people. I mean, the part it plays in their lives is huge. I use it as a phone, but I'm probably the only guy in the country. You know, maybe some descendant of Alexander Graham Bell's doing the same thing. But it is indispensable to people. And, you know, it costs, you know, car costs $35,000. And I'm sure with some people, if you asked them whether they wanted to had to give up their Apple or give up their car, you know, and really make the choice for the next 5 years, you know, who knows what they do. But and we you know, we got a chance to buy it. And I sold some stock last year, although our shareholders still had their percentage interest go up because we repurchased shares. But that was probably a mistake.
And so Apple is kind of like a farm.
Well, it's a long-term investment, and if you own the best auto dealership in town, the best brand, and they had something running it, you wouldn't drop by every day and say, you know, how many people have come in today, or, you know, I think interest rates are going up a little, maybe it'll slow down our sales or anything. No, you buy it knowing there's 365 days a year, and you're going to own it for 20 years, so that's 7,300 days, and, you know, things are going to be different from day to day and year to year. You shouldn't buy it if the day-to-day stuff is important. What hurts in the case of Apple is that the stock has gone up. I mean, all I know is Apple is an absolutely phenomenal company. I mean, Apple has an extraordinary consumer franchise. Well, it's a long-term investment.